You're listening to the Not So Black and White Real Estate Podcast with your hosts, Sir Colin Campbell and Gary A. McGowan.
Good day, good day, good day. It's your host, Sir Colin Campbell, here with Gary A. McGowan, and you're tuned into the Not So Black and White Real Estate Podcast. We're at the Buzz Conference right now in Toronto. It's a lot of buzz happening. All the top realtors are here. You know, we're exchanging ideas. And a familiar face is sitting in the seat right now. The king of real estate, none other than Daryl King.
Thanks, brother.
Welcome to the podcast.
Happy to be here with you two lovely boys.
There we go.
Right?
Yes.
You know, I got to tell you, I see a lot of podcasts, but I'll tell you, these guys have knocked it out of the park. You know, I have my own podcast, Sharing of the Mindset.
Nice.
And, you know, their setup they have here is so professional. The black and white, you know, it's non-branded. And they got the big smiles, and the equipment they have here is they can have 4 speakers here, or 3, or 2, or 1.
Or none.
Or well, none, then we have nothing. Yeah, we have to have something.
That's it.
Right? So, you know, if you get an opportunity and they get invited, I would tell you to come on, because it's all about collaboration. It's not about brands.
Yes.
And, you know, we all compete, but you compete against yourself.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's the good thing about being at the Buzz here, because we have all the different brands, different speakers from every brand, and it's not about that. It's just about collaborating, sharing your knowledge, and you know, Virginia and the Buzz gang, they do a terrific job. Her and Richard, I think what they have going here is a great concept, and I really like the liberty here because you have this big platform for all the people that want to market and advertise, and then the speakers over on the other side.
Yep.
Where the last place was a little harder for noise and stuff like that. So this is a great place to be at. Some credible team leaders and brokers and everything else. Even my broker's here. I know he's speaking later on today.
Yes.
So, you know, I'm happy to sit here with you guys. I was supposed to be on in the morning, but I would have missed all of the show. So now I'm here, and you know, I've had over 30 successful years of selling real estate. And you know, did you know that I have received the Pinnacle Award?
No, what is the
I'm one
Pinnacle
of 2
Award?
Canadians to receive the Pinnacle Award
No
from
way.
Keller Williams.
No way.
Yes.
Wow.
Right? Because there was only 20 of them in North America, I think, in a year. And I'm one of 2 Canadians to receive it.
Congratulations.
Right. You know what? I do remember hearing that from our mentor and a longtime friend of yours, Marvin Alexander, the founder of the brokers that now Colin owns.
Yeah. So in 2014, they rewarded me that award.
Wow.
So, you know, to get recognized, because you have to be number 1 in 20 different categories to receive that award, right? So you're head and tails over, you know, whatever you go.
Yes.
So, you know, it was a real honor, you know, and I got to speak at family. I went to
family reunion,
and,
yes.
you know, Mr. The big boss there,
Gary
I
Keller,
masterminded with him a few times, and I got
Beautiful.
to speak on stage there and stuff like that. So it was very cool, right?
So let me ask you this, Daryl. In an industry where, like you rightfully said, it can be very competitive, why are you constantly going to conferences like this where you're collaborating more, and I think you collaborate more with people than they even know, because they just see the industry as so competitive. But we know the successful ones, they collaborate more. Tell us more about that.
Well, it's real easy. You know, you being the broker owner,
Yes.
right? And you being the voice, right? No, but it's true. Yeah.
Yes.
So the difference is, listen, we're all the same.
Yes.
No matter what. There's 70,255 agents on the Toronto Real Estate Board. And the worst thing to do is to pitch yourself against the other agents, right? I come from a very simple family. I mean, I grew up in Toronto. We were a very humble family. We lived in a little bungalow, a wartime bungalow, built in the 50s, I think 1950 exactly. It was 1,200 square feet. You know, all the homes in Etobicoke, a lot of Toronto were wartime houses. So we came from a very simple family. My father worked very hard. He had 2 jobs, you know, and I started with paper routes. You know, I had the largest paper route in Toronto, you know, because I liked nice clothes back then. I used to caddy, cut grass, shovel show. And it gave me money that I could buy my own clothes because my mom used to dress us the same. So that was working all by myself, just trying to do it. But I learned from a young age in this industry that, I can do so much more. That's why I have a team, So you can only do so much yourself. So by collaborating with all the agents, like my father always said, to treat everybody like family, right? So that's why I have a program called the Royal Treatment. And, he would give the shirt off his back if someone needed it. So I always had that small town mentality. So, some people, they're like this, they want to hide everything, they don't want to share anything. Yes. There's no secrets in this business. Listen, you do the same thing I do, you do the same thing, like you may be better at something, he may be better at something, whatever. Yes. But we're all equal. We're all born, we're all raised, we're all going to die, so it's what you do with your time and how you assert yourself, right? So, I was with RE/MAX many years ago. Then in the early 90s, the market was crashing and all the brokers were closing down. I got defrauded at that time, and then I went to Royal LePage. So I was there for many, many years. I was number 2 in Canada when I left them in 2016 to come back to RE/MAX because I wanted to come back to me, that was my family.
Home.
Right?
Yeah.
So, and it's not about the brands, it's just where I felt comfortable.
Yeah, of course.
So what happens is that I got kicked out. I started a mastermind I got kicked out of that mastermind group because I no longer was with RE/MAX, right? And I thought, how small-minded are you guys, right?
Yes.
I said, because I was here at that time, I was in the top, 10 agents or 20 agents in North America already. And they kicked me out because it was just they're going, man, that's really sucks. So Mike Ferry was my mentor and my coach. Now, Mike Ferry, to me, was the greatest coach, and, he still does business. But if you want to really learn something, the meat and potatoes and the real facts, he was the guy.
Yes.
I go around North America, it was all the top agents. And that's where most of us came from in my group. And I go, okay, so then I shared with, I was in the M3, which is a mastermind group, with him, which was all brands. So that's where I really started with the collaboration with all the brands. And I told you guys are so small-minded. So, I blew by pretty much 99% of that group by a large margin. And because they lived in a little pond versus a bigger ocean. So that's why, by collaborating, I'm being coached by a coach now, I won't mention his name, but it's pretty much all the top teams or agents in North America. And it's never about the brand. It's just you, me, whatever.
Exactly it.
And we're sharing concepts.
That's right.
We're sharing ideas.
Yep.
And there's no hidden thing there. It's totally open. Here, come, there's my book. Go and look at it, right?
Yeah.
And it's amazing because, that's why, and if you're not learning, and here's the problem. I got friends that I grew up in the business and, why are you going to go, like when I used to go to Mike, because I used to go to Mike 6 times a year, right? And they go, and even my ex-wife was the same way. Like, what are you, stupid? Right now, I'm the
Why you keep coming back for the same
number one agent in
information?
the New York region for 22 consecutive years, period, out of any brand. So, but you can't stay number one unless you do something different.
Yes.
Like I'm getting older, and the young kids today, they're freaking brilliant. Like I was talking to a kid, 18 years old. He works with his mother. They're from Montreal, whatever. But marketing, he knows all this marketing stuff, right? He doesn't know the real estate business really, but he knows about marketing. So, if you don't keep working on yourself, you're gonna die, right? So I always believe if you're not learning, you're dying.
Yes.
So I've always made it a point to probably take 6 seminars or courses every year to improve my skills and my knowledge, that I could share it with my clients, because my clients are number one, and then to share it with my team and anyone else that may be in my circle.
Yes,
right?
yes.
And listen, I may do something one way, and you may say, hey, that works for me, I'm going to do that. And then you say, no, I got an idea, here's an idea for you. So we're just collaborating.
We collaborate,
right?
A little tweak here and there.
And it's amazing when you have that type of concept.
Well, that and you put yourself in an environment with like-minded people, obviously, and what people always underestimate is the value of getting shoulder to shoulder with somebody at that Mike Ferry course, or the training, or the now coaching, or the mastermind,
or the buzz conference.
The buzz conference right here.
No, but this is a good concept. This is probably, I do my own conferences.
Sure.
I've done a few. Like the last one, we had 430 people just in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So we're going to do another one. There'll be about 700. But again, it's not about brands.
No.
It's anybody.
And if we can build something...
I'll make sure you guys are invited.
Yes,
excellent.
Absolutely.
Right? Maybe I'll even have you set your booth up outside.
There we go.
Right? I like that.
If we can build something brand agnostic, and we're saying this is for the industry, because we succeed, everyone in the industry succeed, this is where growth happens. And what I've heard you say there, Daryl, is you're just going after growth.
Yes.
And your goal as a leader of your team is...
But I'm not only a leader of my team, I'm a leader of the industry.
Of course.
Right? I've won every conceivable award that you can with either Royal LePage, RE/MAX, or Keller Williams.
Yes.
Right? I'm top 10 Canada, top 10 RE/MAX, top 10 Royal LePage, whatever.
So all the accolades you've received.
And it's not about the accolades. It's about the people along the way that you helped.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, that when you're younger, your ego is more driven than anything else.
Yes,
right?
yes.
But I don't compete against anybody. I compete about myself. That, I say people that know me 10 years ago or 20 years ago and 30 years ago maybe knew me well, but they don't know me today because I've changed.
You've changed. You're a different
From
man.
1 year to next year, there's a lot of things I've changed. I have 365 days to make lots of changes. So I look for a 20% change in everything that I do every single year. That's my mark.
So let me ask you this, Daryl. This need or desire to just get better, where is that coming from?
Internal, right?
Who lit that spark for you?
When I was born, I was a preemie, right? I came out a month early, so I was what they called back in those days a blue baby.
Yeah,
right.
You're good.
So I sat in a little incubator for about a month.
Sure.
So I was in a hurry to get out. So
I love it.
And so that right from my DNA, that taught me to be a fighter. Listen. My mother's side, all the guys were all well over 6 feet, 6'4", 6'6", some of them.
Yes.
My father, short and stocky like me. So I got my father's build. My mother was very cakey like me. And my father, part Portuguese, dark, almost dark with your complexion, believe it or not, right?
Okay.
Jet black hair. He passed away at 93. Full set of black hair. So I wish I had it reversed, right? I wish I had got the height, and a little darker complexion, but it didn't happen. But, so right from my young DNA, it taught me to be a fighter. Yeah. I was never the biggest person ever. I was always the toughest because then, in those days, growing up, I was the leader of the gang. I was like the Godfather would say, maybe 60 or 100 people.
Yes.
And, so the bullies in Toronto or whatever, they'd pick on these guys or girls. So many times I end up fighting some guys that were like 100 pounds bigger than me and probably a foot and a half taller than me, right? And never started one fight, but I ended a lot of it.
There you go. There you go.
So I always fought for the underdog. And
it.
even with my heart and my compassion, I do a lot of things for charity. Yellow Brick House is one of my biggest charity ones I give. I can name $1 Million Smiles, that's for handy people with rare diseases and stuff like that.
We're very familiar
Heart
with that.
stroke. I mean, there's probably 20 of them that I did. And even when I was coaching with James Ray, something like Anthony Robbins, we used to go to these women's shelters. Even when I was with Royal LePage, we used to go to women's shelters all around the world and go help them out. So, giving back is the most important thing. My goal when I started out to be was to be a medical doctor. Right? I worked at Connaught Laboratories and it became Nova Laboratories. And I want to be a doctor, not a people doctor, but scientific and research.
Yes.
Interesting, yeah.
So I was in charge of quality control for insulin for diabetics, Pantene Invest, semi-government. The problem is that, doctors would come in and I knew all the information, but I didn't have my doctorate. They'd become my boss automatically and they'd have to ask me for all the information. So it was so impolitically correct, a lot of things, because of government grants, right? So they just want you to rubber stamp stuff. I didn't believe in that. So I went, since I was a young kid, I was the Monopoly king. And my father worked for he was the third richest man in Canada, Mr. Birkinshaw. And, had big place, Forest Hill. He had a big place at Bayview and Leslie, hundreds of acres there. We used to race my go-karts at the track there. We used to go to these big mansions and drive the big Cadillacs then. Like I said, we were a poor family. We didn't have that, but I seen a lot of wealth growing up. And I said, I wanted a part of that. Right?
Yes.
So I always, and I was the Monopoly king because we played with all our friends and family and very competitive. So I went into real estate. And, in my first year, I sold 27 homes. Interest rates were 21%.
Yeah, there you have it.
Right?
Little reality, folks.
Because I didn't know any better. Because what happens is too many people listen to social media. Be careful what you listen to because that's what you become. Right?
Yes.
Right or wrong, like Henry Ford says, right? So I didn't listen to it. I didn't really have any, I was always sales in everything, whether it be cards, be alleys, or always wheeling and shaking little things, whatever. And even when I was 16 years old, I used to sell jetware. And, go to Young and Blue or whatever. So it was $1,000 jetware when I was 16. That was enormous prices. Lifetime warranty, great stuff. And I really believed in it, and I excelled in sales. So I always just believed in real estate. We came from old school. That, and then those days you would keep a property, 20 or 30 years or something like that, and then you'd have a retirement package. If I'm going to teach someone today, you should move every 3 to 5 years, get your equity out of there, and go build more wealth. I always said to my parents, because I remember when I said to my dad, I said, Mom, guys, you've been here for a long time. It's time for you to sell your house, right? I took my father an offer, and it was a good offer. There was no commission because it was just me.
Yeah.
And he said, no, I'm not quite ready. So they sold it, I think, 5 years later, but they sold it for, I think, $230,000 or $250,000 less.
Less.
Interesting.
Right? Because the market then had done a shift.
That was from 89 and we went down.
Right? So what happens is that, people just think real estate will always be here. No, it's peaks and valleys. So they say the market is not good now. The market is excellent now. The market had to make a readjustment because with the low inflation and the 0% interest rate they had there, prices, I always learned that 3 to 5% was a good growth rate, right? You're talking a big ticket item. Your home is your largest item. So the problem is that in the last 3 years, 4 years, and it used to be a 7-year cycle. So your cycle would start here, it would come up to here, then it would go down, but this is where it was. So the next plateau would be higher, right? So it didn't matter. If you owned real estate for, say, 5-10 years, you would never lose money.
Of course.
Because you always got in that 7-year cycle. So the last cycle in 2017 and then 2008, they had the little dip there for 5 months, went down 33%. And then the wind got back to the sail, went off like crazy again. And then it got out of control. 20%, 23%, 67% in 2 or 3 years in outlying areas. So that was a false market, not a real market. So now the government had to step in, change with the interest rates, but they did it too quick and too much. 8 times in 9 months, 10 months, because people that financed in 2020 now have to refinance in 2023. So they were only paying, say, $2,000 a month. Now they could be paying $4,000 or $5,000 a month. So they didn't really strategize or think that out very clearly, right? And even now with the foreign investment they're talking about, January 1st, and now already we're only into
3 months in.
And they made a whole lot of changes you can do this, you can do this. Right? It was full of loopholes anyway. But,
here's what I'd love to know is for someone that's been in the industry as long as you have, and we can say, and you've said it, the illustrious career and accolades and everything, but the reality of it is you've experienced many peaks and valleys and trends and things like that.
I would say 5 big markets.
5 big markets. Okay.
So this is not anywhere near the biggest.
Interesting.
People that are new, because National Real Estate Association says almost 90% of the agents are less than 7 years in the business. I'm an old dog, right? So they never experience a bad market. So anybody can sell in a hot market, right? If you go when the fish are spawning, you go throw your rod in there, it's just like, whoa, you're catching, right? So they never really knew the concept of actually going out and working. You know, they had that false thing, as one of them said on the thing about, they think houses should sell in 2 weeks or less. They used to average 45 days at least.
45 days, 60
right?
days,
60
average days on market.
So you're going to go back to that. You know, your time period of actually selling. Listen, it's a big ticket thing. It shouldn't be that long. It needs to be exposed. It needs your marketing. It needs your negotiation skills that you can do that. So the young ones just think they can just do social media and it just drive them. But, someone can have $3 million impressions, but not really one sale.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's not about being a Hollywood movie star. It's about giving value back.
Yes.
And that's why you're here, that's why you're here, and that's why I'm here.
Of course.
Everybody that's here at this Buzz Conference is learning to collaborate, learning to work together. Because listen, tomorrow we could be selling a house together.
Of course.
And that's really what you want, because you want to know the person
on the other side.
Because sometimes I get agents come up to me, they haven't checked out who I am, and I'm not trying to be egotistic, but, I've sold 14,000 homes, over $6.5 billion worth of real estate. So, this agent might have sold 10 or 20 houses or 30 houses, whatever, and they're, ooh, look at me, I'm tired. And I'm going, wait, let's check your ego at the door.
That's right.
You obviously haven't checked out who I am, number one. But it's not about you, and it's not about me.
It's about our clients.
It's right. I have the seller, you have the buyer. So let's collaborate, and let's see if because they're going to, do their little battle or whatever it is, because they want the best deal, they want the best deal. So it's up to us to make them come together that they can neutralize each other and everybody be happy, right? So right away I say check that ego at the door. If you're going to be like that, we're never going to be able to help anybody, right? So that's the key of having these events, because now, a lot of stuff, in my old school, you knew everybody. Everything was done face to face. There was none of the phones and no of the computers. So you knew everybody. Today, you don't even know who the other seller, like the buyer is. You don't know, like the agent. Probably you talk to them on the phone only, and it's by email. So by having this, you put the faces.
I love your background.
Excellent.
So you get to put that feeling, right?
Yeah.
So, now I met you guys this week. We knew each other,
right.
but we never had this.
Correct.
So now we'll be like buddies for life.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. We passed our cross. What am I trying to say? We saw each other last night.
Yeah.
Right?
We crossed paths many times.
But I'm saying you've built more that this, because now you've come to this. Right?
Exactly. And I had mentioned to you and I had met
many years ago,
15 years ago, and then of course our paths go separate ways.
Right.
And it's events like this. It's getting shoulder to shoulder. So when I do pick up that phone, Daryl, it's Garrett. I got a client looking at such and such. Yeah, man. And then that's a camaraderie. And you're saying that's how we get to collaborate together.
That's exactly it.
And we've been missing that in the industry. COVID accelerated that.
That really screwed everybody up.
COVID really accelerated that.
Almost 3 years of that BS. Right?
Yeah.
So that's why having these, that's why I did my event in November 30th, because I made it free.
Yes.
I had got it covered. I got some sponsors. And I said, because the agents haven't been able to get out there and to collaborate. They were just hungry.
And I think, Daryl, if I may, I think it's important for agents like yourself who have had that tremendous success, have been in the industry and have that tenure and pedigree, and then for Colin and I to be following in that footsteps so others can see that how it's modeled and how, not how it should be done, but how it can be done, and it can be done so much better. Yes?
200%. And that's really the key.
Sure.
You need great leadership, because that's what the industry is about. If you follow bad leadership, it makes the whole real estate bad. Lots of times the public has bad things like car salesmen, real estate agents, lawyers, whatever the case might be. So the more professional Gary can make, Colin, myself, or any of the other leaders,
we lift the industry.
Lifts the industry up. And that's what you want to make it. You want to make it much more professional. You want to make it harder for them to get into the industry.
Yes.
So when they take these 2-year courses now, I love it, right?
Sure.
Because they have to become more educated. And it has nothing. Listen, we have to follow the rules and regulations, whether we like them or we don't sometimes. They're there for a purpose. We have to follow them. So if we all follow them by the book, and then we all collaborate and we work together, it makes for a lot better industry. I love working with people that I know.
Absolutely.
Like they call me up and they say, "What do you got?" And I say, they might have called me on something else. "Oh, you got something?" And I say, "Oh yeah, you know what? We just got this, or this is coming out." So your collaboration, so everybody wins. The clients win, number one. We win because it's a lot easier to put the transaction together because we're all working on the same. Here's what my clients are looking for. What are your clients working for? Okay, let's strategize, right? Let's make this happen.
Yes.
And that's the most important thing. Then the clients, listen, you know, I know many times I even introduced my sellers to the buyer agent and I said, listen, these guys were the best people to work with. We wouldn't have got here unless they were not so collaborative.
Yes.
And I personally thank them, right, in front of my clients and even their clients that I tell them, your
Agent worked for you, he fought for you.
You would have never got this house without their hard work and collaboration. And I really stress that out pretty much every time I can. So when I have offers, like I just had a multiple offer at my house. We sold the place for $438,000, believe it or not. And we sold one last year. The guy's buddy just down the street. And they knew my name and that, so they hired us. And so we had the agents all coming into the office. So the guy was there with his clients, and you know, I said, okay, you go here, and they did it. And I brought everybody together. We all shook hands, took pictures and stuff, and everybody was absolutely so incredibly happy, right?
I love that, and I think I've done that in the past, and clients love it. The other realtor appreciates the acknowledgement, and I think it's important for you.
There's nothing underhanded because,
that's right.
You know, if it's just on a DocuSign or something, you don't see.
You don't see
Everybody's in the office. So everybody that was there had the fair opportunity.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Like I had another one where I even knew the agent, you know, he's another Remax, just for argument's sake, and he was. And he got mad at me because his clients didn't get it, so he's going all this shit. I go, you had an opportunity. You know, there's multiple offers. They said everybody I give like 3 chances to improve your offer. I said, what am I going to take? 1 week?
Yes.
I said, this is your last time. Give your best offer. We're going to take an offer tonight.
Excellent.
My clients were happy. The other client agent was happy. And the buyers and sellers happy. Right? They bought half the furniture.
Yes.
But, you know, you had one agent because he lost it. He got mad.
Yeah.
Hey, in multiple offers, it's hard if you're the listing broker, or even if you're the buyer agent, and you lost it. I feel so bad because anyone that comes, I try and do my best to help them. But unfortunately, if you're in a multiple offer, whether it be the buyer or seller, someone loses out.
Somebody loses.
Yeah, there's only 2 happy families that night.
That's right.
So we got to wrap this up. We could talk for hours, and I love it. Maybe one day we're going to have to do that.
Yes.
But Daryl, how do people reach out to you? What's the best way to contact you?
You can reach me through 905-907-5464. Our home's at darylking.com. Any questions, thoughts, concerns, reach out to us. Other agents want to come in sometimes. They come in some of our training classes. We invite them in. They're more than welcome, right? You guys can come in.
Excellent,
right?
excellent. So there you have it. The king of real estate, Daryl King, one of our favorites. And, of course, that's Sir Colin Campbell. I'm Gary McGowan, and we'll see everyone in the next episode.
Bye
Goodbye
for now.
Guys.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. Make sure to click the subscribe button so new episodes will automatically be downloaded to your device. Please help us reach more people by leaving a rating and a review on your podcast player of choice. Now go make it an amazing day for somebody.